We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Wow. Roy Jones Jr., he did not just say that. That's what it takes sometimes. You take something from me, I'm coming to get it back. You beat me, I say, okay, we had a good night. I'm still coming to get it back. Pensacola in the house. Pensacola in the house. Roy Jones Jr. finally admits that a fight between Jaron, Boots Ennis, and Terence Crawford, two of the top 3 welterweights in the picture, would be a difficult fight for Bud Crawford. That's what I want to break down in this video. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Didn't I just say that? Roy Jones Jr., Pensacola in the house. He did a recent interview, and in this interview, he declares that Crawford got skills, but so does Boots Ennis. And he believes that it would be an epic showdown. In an interview with YSM Sports Media, Roy Jones says, quote, "I don't know because we haven't seen Boots in with anybody that good enough to test his chin. That's the only thing we don't know about him yet," meaning Boots. And the question was basically, how would Jaron Boots Ennis fare with a guy like Crawford? He says, "We don't know if he could take a real punch yet because we haven't seen it. But as far as skills go, Boots has everything. That fight could be very difficult for Terence Crawford because he has everything. When a guy is talented and has the skills that Boots has, anything can happen. Bud has that skill level too, so it's a great fight." So Roy Jones keeps it real, doesn't actually weigh in with the winner, but he believes that it would be a hard fight. I mean, difficult, that's another word for hard. And I agree with it. You know, no matter if you have Terence Crawford winning, if you have Jaron winning, I think most people can admit that it would be a difficult fight. And this is why I don't understand about the Bud Buddies. Because when I listen to the Bud Buddies and we're talking about the fight, it's like many of them don't even want to see it. And there's really no inherent obstacles, barring maybe Errol Spence. But Errol Spence, if he just had cataract surgery, we don't know if that's truly an obstacle because he might, you know, be out the way if Errol Spence is not able to fight straight away. So I like what Roy Jones Jr. said here because it's the truth. And again, the Bud Buddies, they can say whatever they want, but the pressure is going to continue to grow as long as Crawford doesn't retire and is an active fighter. He has all of the belts except for the IBF. That in and of itself is a great backstory and a great reason why fans would want to see that matchup. On top of it, you have two very talented Black American fighters who have, I can't say a similar style, but there's some similarities. They're both American styles, a level of slickness, boxer punchers, ambidextrous, these things. So with that being said, it would be an epic showdown. Now, I do think Boots he's a big welterweight, and Crawford is not the biggest, but he's filled out over the years, and he's definitely carried his power up. Crawford has a 100% knockout ratio in the welterweight division. So on top of having power, Crawford is cunning, cat-like, and he's very surgical. You know, I'm surgical with this big Jake, right? He's very surgical, and he knows how to place his shots, which is important because they say in boxing, the shots that knock you out are the shots you don't see coming. And Crawford, he sets traps and, you know, plays cat and mouse games. Sometimes he goes and gets you, and before you know it, he's having his way with you. Pause. So against a bigger welterweight, a younger welterweight, a guy with some of the same razzle dazzle, speed, power, quickness, athleticism, ring IQ, not just like a mindless brawler that is plotting and moving forward. This is a really dynamic fight. And I told you, there are two fights outside of the Errol Spence fight, and I don't know that I need to see the Errol Spence fight, to be honest, based on what we've seen in the first fight with Crawford. But I do respect business, and I understand having a rematch clause. So if there's a rematch clause, then at the end of the day, he may have to fight Errol Spence Jr. But I told you in past videos, if it were not Errol Spence Jr., for whatever reason, let's say Errol Spence, the cataract surgery pushes him out, the rematch clause is expired. There's many other people who also have been on record saying, yo, I don't even want to see Crawford versus Spence part 2, right? So if it's not going to be somebody like Errol Spence, which is contractual, then that makes Crawford almost, again, like a free agent or a player who has some flexibility if he's not tied to Errol Spence due to that contract. I told you there was 2 names that I wanted to see him fight: Tim Tszyu or Jaron Boots Ennis, in no particular order. And guess what? We just found out, and I made a separate video about it, that Tim Tszyu is facing 2X welterweight who's moving up, Keith one-time Thurman. You better not duck me, Thun. You better not. I'm coming. You better not, right? Which is a very good fight, christening in the new Amazon Prime deal with PBC. The card looks pretty stacked. They're putting Rolly on the card in the co-main event. He's defending his belt against Aesop Pitbull Cruz, basically 2 guys that fought Tank Davis, and it should be a great card. Sebastian Fundora is going to be on the card. I heard Kermel Moton is likely to be on the card, etc. So one of the 2 options that I told you is a fight that makes sense for Crawford is now occupied. And you could say Tim Tszyu is the favorite versus Keith Thurman. Regardless, Tim Tszyu for March 30th is booked up. He won't be able to fight Crawford. So again, I cannot wait. 2024, it's going to be a great year. I cannot wait to see what this year holds and has in store, especially Crawford. Masterful performance versus Errol Spence. First time linking with PBC last year versus Errol Spence. I can't wait to see what they have in store for his next opponent if it is not Errol Spence. If it is Errol Spence, okay, that's a contract, and then, you know, we'll see how Errol Spence does in the rematch. But if it is not, it's going to be very, very interesting to see who Crawford decides, because he's kind of fronted on Boots, right? Where he said, oh, it's a lose-lose for me. No one wants to see it. This guy's still fighting in theaters. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. In one conversation, Terence Crawford is saying that Boots is fighting in theaters, but in the same tweet, he's saying we offered him the fight 2 times. For whatever reason, I don't personally think there was 2 fights that were really reasonable and the business all made sense. That's just my opinion. But regardless of that, the fight can happen now. So why are we still talking about a alleged failed negotiation from a previous time? The fight can still happen. And it actually makes more sense to happen now than BLK Prime or whatever. Crawford, a free agent, working with Al Heyman and PBC, at least partnering with them. Errol might be out of the equation, out of the loop. And then Boots' next opponent hasn't been confirmed. This is the best time to fight him, right? He's still young, still developing, coming off a great performance. So it's like, which one is it? You're saying he's fighting in small theaters, but then you're saying you've already offered him the fight 2 times. So why, if your reasoning or rationale for not fighting Boots was the mere fact that he's fighting in small theaters, then why did you offer him the fight 2 times allegedly? To me, that doesn't make sense. Now with people, prominent people like Roy Jones saying that, hey, it's a difficult fight, I think it adds more pressure, and we know what it is. Point blank, period. So I can't wait to see what's next. I truly cannot wait to see what's next. What is decided? Again, if it's Errol Spence Crawford, so be it. I will watch it and, you know, see what the outcome is. But if it is not Errol Spence, I'm very curious, because Crawford called out Canelo. Payday, payday, you'll want payday. I know that. But at the end of the day, Canelo doesn't seem to have taken that really serious. He said it's a lose-lose situation and Crawford's too small and things like that. And they're talking about Canelo could fight against Jermall Charlo. So you're not going to be able to strong-arm Canelo into picking you. We learned that from guys like Demetrius Andrade, and now David Benavidez. So Crawford has literally no leverage to force the Canelo fight other than to keep calling him out. But if Canelo don't pick you for the sweepstakes, then you'll just be like David Benavidez. And the Benavidez fight makes way more sense than Crawford moving up 3 weight classes where he hasn't even done any work at 54, 60, let alone 68. So if anybody, David Benavidez deserves that Canelo opportunity, and they're in the same weight class, and David Benavidez is the mandatory. So I'm glad Roy Jones said what he said. He's just proving that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm the best in the business, because I told you it'd be a good fight, it'd be a challenging fight. And at this stage of the game, I think people want to see Crawford in the fights where he could be pushed or challenged. Whether he wins or loses, that's what people want to see. Drop your thoughts in the comment section.
The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation.